Exquisite. Hello there, beautiful human. My name is RidersDX and welcome to my channel where today, this is the very first video of the brand new year, and I'm not sure if you've noticed, but if you take a look at the channel name, RidersDX is fully back now. And so I'm going to explain this, but it's a little hard to explain without basically talking about why I changed RidersDX in the first place, which I was thinking back on this year because this is just going to be a video where I talk about how the last year has gone and how I want to go into this year, and also just some updates and such, along with a Q&A at the end. You know, I asked you all to give me some questions, which I will be answering at the end of this video. And also, this is going to be a live premiere if my plans don't change, and so please feel free to ask your own questions in the chat box and I will be responding to them as well. This is kind of taking place of the live stream that typically takes place during this time, and so definitely make use of that chat box if you're watching this live. But first off, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for giving me so much support in the past years I've been running this channel. In a couple months it will be 3 years since I started uploading regularly on this channel, and that's just really crazy because when I first started uploading seriously as RidersDX, I had no idea that I was going to still be doing this. I thought it was going to be another thing where I was just going to upload for a little bit and then just give up, because that's basically how all my YouTube channels have gone. But this one has really stuck around and I really do appreciate that. It's so heartwarming to think that there's still people that are watching this channel at this point. But let's talk about 2020 because 2020 was quite a year, and not just because of everything that was going on in the actual outside world, which matters way more than what happened on this channel, but also because I was just going through so much this year. There was just so much new things that happened that I'm just like, what? This year has just been crazy. Coming into 2020, I wasn't in the best place mentally because my channel had just come back from one of the lowest performing months that it's ever had. For some reason, going to September and October of 2019, my channel just hit an all-time low in terms of views of subscribers, and it was just something that I was desperately trying to climb out of and get back to the algorithm's good graces, I guess. But there was also a lot of outside stuff going on for me as well. I was in a brand new state away from my family, and so I was still getting used to that. And also I was doing a residency, which was 60 hours of my life every single week, and so you can say that's probably one reason as to why the channel dipped during them, because I was just so busy with my actual job that it was impossible, I guess, to really maintain the same things that I was doing before my residency. And so you have that. But I basically started the first quarter of the year just doing mostly videos on the Sonic movie and also Rehydrated. But as the Sonic movie came and went, it just kind of started turning into Rehydrated and Rehydrated and Rehydrated. Now don't get me wrong, Rehydrated brought me so many firsts, and I'm just so glad that I was able to cover that game the way that I did, because I've covered games in the past before leading up to their release like Team Sonic Racing and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, but Rehydrated was something of its own beast, I guess you could say, compared to those games. First of all, I went to my very first gaming convention back in February, and that was also insane because I got to meet so many great people there. I even got to meet some close friends, Dave and Dylan, and so that was really cool. But another thing was I got to make contact with THQ Nordic over there. I met Florian, who was the PR agent that I was communicating with throughout the entire time I was covering Rehydrated, and not only was I able to break some news that got me on IGN, and that's probably the only time I'll ever be on IGN in my life, but it was through that contact I was also able to interview Martin Crouch from THQ Nordic about the game itself, and that was just a bunch of crazy things that was already happening for this game. Not to mention, I remember that drop of information in April, and I was just going crazy because I'm oh my gosh, there's 10,000 videos I need to make now, because most video games, they review things slowly, it's a slow burn, but with Rehydrated it was just bam, all at once, and I was just what is going on? So I'm sure you remember that hour-long video that I made about pretty much everything that got released, and my gosh, that was a crazy time, but it was so much fun. Along with that, we also did the Rehydrated relief, which was also an amazing and awesome experience, and so that was so great because we got to see the entire community come together in preparation for this game and also make money for a good cause, and it was just such an awesome time. I really enjoyed all the people I got to meet in particular, particular. And you know, there's just a common theme here. Rehydrated was constantly bringing me so many great things, and I was just like at an all-time high in terms of the channel, and it was a great experience, and I would never trade it for anything in the world. But the thing was, it was so great and so like electrifying that it was also exhausting. You know, by the time that Rehydrated came and went, I was just overall exhausted of YouTube, and I was desperately trying to just keep up the pace I had established with Rehydrated, which was like an insane pace and just not something that was sustainable on a long-term basis. And not only that, once Rehydrated came and gone, that was also like a lot of the channel's activity just basically disappearing. And so my views started dripping, my subscriber count didn't rise as much as it did before, and I don't want to call it a fall from grace per se, but it definitely felt like a decline, like a really sharp decline. Not something that's happened gradually over like months or years, but just like a really sharp decline from like here to like here. And that just like really messes with you mentally, and it really messed with me, to be honest, because it led me to do something I've never done on this channel before, which was to take a break. And so I went an entire month without uploading on my channel, and I think that really wrecked my channel in terms of the YouTube algorithm, and also just like, you know, people like you like coming to this channel and like not seeing anything for a month. You're probably wondering, is this guy dead? Is this it for the channel? And it was like a really tough decision to make, but my mind was just so like out of it that I just had to. Like, I was just so like not in the YouTube mindset at that point. And so when I came back to YouTube, I completely rebranded the channel as Late Night Riders, and I was actually supposed to make a video talking about why I decided to make this change to Late Night Riders, but I kind of just kept putting it off until I decided not to. And looking back on it now, I think the reason I did that was because I actually wasn't completely 100% sure as to why I was doing it. And it was really fun at first because it was a nice change of pace and it was a different way of producing videos. But as I kept doing it, it just kind of started becoming more and more clear that this was not what I wanted the channel to be long term. It was just, now I was putting so much more thought and effort into all these videos, doing something that just didn't really feel natural to me. You know, what always felt really natural to me was just getting in front of a camera or getting in front of a microphone and talking to you all about something that was on my mind in that day. And I think that's something that's made this channel like really successful, because it's so easy and it's so effortless. Basically, when I make videos like that, just talking about something really random on my mind that everyone just seems to be able to connect to, which is just really weird in and of itself. But Late Night Riders was just kind of creating like a barrier between me and that ease, I guess you could say. And so it just became more and more clear that Late Night Riders was not what I wanted this channel to be on the long term. And so with the past month, I started drifting away from Late Night Riders and I started kind of going back to like my previous format. And it was doing okay at first, but then I came out with some like Sonic Adventure videos, and those videos started doing really well again. And I was just like, this is what I'm really good at. I'm really good at, you know, talking about like popular things that are going on at the moment, but also thinking of questions from like a different angle that, you know, maybe not that many other people came up with. And so I figured that that's something that's always been a consistent thing on this channel, is just the way I'm able to pick out topics and discuss them and then kind of start conversation with you all. And it was just something like, I guess, an epiphany that I made, that like, this is why the channel has been so successful up to this point. At least it's why I think it's been so successful. And so I finally decided that I wanted to retire the Late Night Riders name and just kind of go back to what I was doing before, but kind of go with an emphasis on balance. Because what 2020 was to me was just a very, very prime example of what happens when you lose balance. And so a lot of it wasn't really my fault, you know. I just think that the way that Rehydrated went, that it was just such an exhilarating thing to be covering that game at that time, and to meet all those people and to just do all that stuff. It was really great, but it was also like an unrealistic like view of how my channel was going forward, because, you know, there's just so many things happening, and like that can't happen all year long. You know, there's going to be a point where like that stuff just stops. You know, I really want to make an effort this year to, you know, just be more healthy mentally and just make sure that I'm balancing myself in a way that I am putting out content consistently, but also not letting like those highs and lows like affect me too much. And so that's kind of where my head's at right now. I feel like I have a better understanding of what makes RidersDX so great. Not saying that like RidersDX is really great, but just like why RidersDX has gotten to this point is more so what I'm trying to say. And so I understand now why people like RidersDX, and I'm gonna give more of that content. Now we head into what my plans are for 2021. I definitely want to focus on continuing to put out Sonic, Spongebob, and Crash content with an emphasis on Sonic in particular because this is going to be Sonic's big 30th anniversary, and I just anticipate so much Sonic stuff going on in the next year that it's just going to be a really fun time. I can't wait to cover Sonic really intensely this year. But I also want to do a little bit more expansion this year, and so something that I've been really wanting to make content on is on Nintendo games. And so I've dipped my toes in some Mario stuff already. I also want to do some stuff with The Legend of Zelda because I think The Legend of Zelda's 30th anniversary is coming up this coming year, and so I think there's going to be some opportunity there to expand the channel in that way. And so yeah, that's another thing that I want to do. Oh, and also Spyro. Spyro is another potential topic. I've had Spyro in my intro forever, but I've not talked about Spyro more than like one time, and so I definitely want to do some more Spyro content, especially if we're getting that 4th game that I think it's pretty much guaranteed to come at this point. I mean, we'll have to see. Beyond my typical discussion videos, I also want to dive into videos about older games as well, as I wanted to create more content that's not so much about like what's going on right now, but also about, you know, what's happened in the past, for instance, or, you know, a video that you could watch 5 years later and be like, okay, this still makes sense now, you know? So I want to make videos on like older games. I also want to dive into retrospectives because it's been something that I've been like really wanting to do for a long time. I love watching like 1 hour epics on my favorite video games, and I've always really wanted to make those kind of videos, but I've also been very intimidated by them because, well, they're 1 hour epics. You know, it's just like you're basically talking about everything you ever want to talk about with a video game. And it takes a lot of planning and preparation and time management and discipline to make these videos. And I've just been really intimidated by that. But I'm going to make this the year that I'm going to try it. And so I've given myself a goal of doing it like about every other month. We'll see if I stick to that or not, but if I can even do like a few like this year, then I'll be really happy with myself. I'm gonna focus on doing Sonic retrospectives because one, Sonic is obviously a topic that I'm very well familiar with and I think I could talk a lot about, but also the fact that it's its big 30th anniversary, and I think it'd just be a really cool opportunity to go back into some of my favorite Sonic games while we anticipate and wait for the brand new Sonic game coming this coming year. So I'm really excited about it. I hope you all tune into those videos as well. You know, I'm just planning to make so much content that really like emphasizes the strength of this channel, and I'm just like, I feel very clear about where the channel's going, if that makes sense. Like, I think in the past I've always been like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I want to do all these things, and it was just, I've always been a terrible person at focusing on one thing. Like, I always just am distracted by all sorts of things that happen like everywhere around me. And so I think this year I want to stay more balanced and more focused and just kind of continue to give you all more consistent quality in terms of content. One last note is that I've also started to stream again, as you might have seen on this channel, and so I've been streaming weekly on Saturdays on YouTube, and it's been a lot of fun. I really do enjoy it. I think that's another thing that like the Rehydrated relief in particular just like drained me from. Like, I remember when I did that 12-hour live stream of Robotic Revenge, and I was just like, nope, I hate streaming, we're never streaming again kind of thing. But I eventually grew to miss it, and now I'm doing it every week and I really do enjoy it. I am thinking though that I'm probably going to start moving to Twitch from now on, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, I have a Twitch account and I'm doing nothing on it right now, and so I would love the chance to kind of get to grow that audience. But two, I really do want this YouTube channel to be more focused, and I think part of that is making sure that like people that are subscribed to the YouTube channel are getting like YouTube videos more consistently. And I just feel like the live streams is just something that most people aren't really into, like just judging from like how many people come to watch the streams compared to how many people subscribe to this channel. You know, I just don't think the majority of you want to see me stream, and that's totally fine. It's perfectly okay. But for those of you that do want to stream, you can go ahead and follow me on my Twitch. There's a link in the description box below, and I'll be doing that on a weekly basis. This doesn't mean that I'm not going to stream on YouTube ever. I think I'll still do it on special occasions. Like, I might do a second Rehydrated relief later this year, so that might be a reason to stream on YouTube. So just kind of like for special things like that. But I am going to start doing Twitch a little bit more often and a little bit more regularly so that we can grow that platform too, because Twitch is obviously a big thing right now, and I really do want a chance to grow on that platform if I am going to stream. But anyway, that's basically where my head's at right now. You know, I think 2020 has been a really great learning experience, and I wouldn't take it back for the world. but there was also a lot of mistakes that I made that I'm looking forward to learning from and not making again this year. So, you know, I'm in a really good place mentally, and I'm really excited for this channel going forward, and I hope you all are too. Definitely let me know if you have any requests for any kinds of content in the comment section below, and I'd be really happy to look into that and kind of see if I want to do that or not. But now let's go ahead and go into the Q&A, and we got quite a few questions here, so let's not waste any time. This question comes from Kimmy Grimm, and they asked, what did you like best about Spongebob Alpha Bikini Bottom Rehydrated? Honestly, the visuals. Like, I know the visuals are a very controversial opinion here. Like, there's a lot of people that dislike them to no end because I guess it's just because it doesn't look like what Spongebob Alpha Bikini Bottom did back in the day. But in my opinion, I think they did a really good job recreating it, and it's a really great way to see how SpongeBob has kind of evolved throughout the years. And so I thought the game just looked gorgeous. This comes from CN and Nick Fanboy. Would you want to see a Nicktoons Unite remastered collection or a reimagining of all 4 of them? I think a remastered collection is probably the better idea for these, just because I feel like if you reimagine them, it might be too big of a project to take on, just because I think reimagining them would require a lot of work, because I just don't think these are games that work in this day and age. However, I think having a remastered collection just to go ahead and revisit them if you want to for nostalgic reasons is totally fine. And so that's what my answer to that question would be. This one comes from Zach Pack. What was your favorite part of doing / running the Rehydrated relief? Honestly, just meeting everyone that was a part of it. You know, it was so great to like talk to all these people that I never talked to before and learn about so many things within the community. Like, I'd never been that exposed to the speedrunning community until the relief, and so getting to like learn from people like Shift, for instance, about what the speedrunning tactics are and how to like do a couple of them was really cool. This comes from Sweet Victor. If you were to make a Nicktoons Unite game, who would you want in it and how would you do the gameplay? Whew. That's a really loaded question. It might be a really good idea for a video one day, but I guess to sum it up, I would love it to be like an open world game, and I would love it if you could actually make your own character in there, because then you could have your own character like fight side by side with all the other Nicktoons, and it'd just be such a fun experience. Like, I do want to see SpongeBob, obviously, that's a huge one, but also like Jimmy Neutron, Timmy Turner, Danny Phantom. Those are the 4 that I really want to see, because I still have that nostalgia about Nicktoons Unite. That is still like the core 4 Nicktoons to me, and so as long as it has those 4, I'm perfectly fine. This comes from Musty. Would you like to see SpongeBob in Smash? What kind of question is this? Of course I do. This comes from Music How. What is your favorite game to cover on the channel, and what is your favorite style of video to make? You see, I don't really have a favorite game to cover in this channel because I love talking about all my games. I guess like I'm a really big fan of Rehydrated, obviously, but I'm also a really big fan of Sonic games. Like, Sonic has been my life since I was a kid, and man, that franchise just means so much to me. And so I don't really have a favorite game to cover. However, my favorite kind of videos have always been like the longer review style videos, like retrospectives. So that's why I really do want to head into more retrospectives in this year and make them like actual retrospectives and not like half-assed ones like I would typically do. This comes from Ultra for Mr. Cool. What was your first gaming console? It was the PS1, and I had like 5 games for it, and none of them were Crash Bandicoot or Spyro, which was very unfortunate. This comes from the Sonic Zone. What was your first SpongeBob episode? How did you find out about the show in the first place? Wow, I really don't know what my first episode was. I think it was probably something from season 2, because I didn't get into the show until the show had been running for a couple years. But I will say though, how I basically found out about the show was when I was a kid, I literally watched TV like every single day. Like, it was all I watched, and the only channels I was interested in were the cartoon channels. And so there were only 3 channels that really gave that to me at that time, which was Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Disney Channel. And so I just watched SpongeBob because Nickelodeon was probably showing it so often that there was no way to avoid it. This comes from Abraham Martinez. Do you think we'll get a Battle for Bikini Bottom sequel? I really do hope so, because I think that obviously if we do get a Battle for Bikini Bottom sequel, it's very likely that Purple Lamp will be the one to work on it. I would love to see Purple Lamp kind of get a second chance at doing this, because I think they learned a lot from making Rehydrated. Like, they're still a relatively new development company. Now that they have Rehydrated experience under their belt, I really would love to see what they would do with those same assets and what kind of game they can make with it. And so I really do hope so. This comes from Dominic Pritchard. How do you think your channel has grown since Rehydrated, and what games are you looking forward to seeing in 2021/22? If I'm being honest, I feel like the growth of the channel hasn't been as good as it was in the past, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. But I do think that I've grown a lot as a person. I've grown a lot in terms of knowing what my limits are and knowing what really works on this channel. And so, like I said before, I feel like I have a good idea of what makes RidersDX, and I want to definitely emphasize that in the future. In terms of games I'm looking forward to in 2021, I'm really looking forward to whatever that Sonic game is. I really do want that. I've also been playing Breath of the Wild recently and I've been loving it, so I'm looking forward to Breath of the Wild 2 whenever that comes out. And I'm trying to think, what else is there? If there's a Crash PvP game like that's been rumored, then I'm looking forward to that as well. But yeah, I can't really say that there's a lot I'm looking forward to yet because I think most of it just hasn't been announced yet. This comes from David Curran. What games would you like to cover in the future? Obviously more amazing licensed games from other properties, maybe more Nintendo 3D platformers. I'm just curious. Either way, thank you for the amazing content this year. Oh, you're welcome, David. I really do appreciate it. I would love to cover more licensed games in the future. I just don't know if I have the room to do it on this channel at the moment because there's so many other franchises I want to get to. Like Nintendo was one that I had mentioned before. That's definitely a series of games I would love to cover. And so I've been doing some Mario stuff already and I kind of want to do some Legend of Zelda stuff too. And so I don't know. I think if I can get to more licensed platformers then I will, but I'm not going to promise anything. I will say that I'm planning to cover more of the Nicktoons games, and so maybe that will tickle your stomach, I guess. This comes from Road Rage 59. What would you like to see next from THQ Nordic? As I mentioned before, I really want to see a Battle for Bikini Bottom 2, or at least something similar to Battle for Bikini Bottom. And so if THQ Nordic, if you really thought Rehydrated was successful, then please follow it up with another game. This comes from Joe P. What made you start your channel, and do you have anything you may have wanted to do differently this year? What made me start this channel was I actually was in pharmacy school when I started this channel, and I was just so stressed out from pharmacy school that I was looking for like an escape, I guess you could say. And this channel sort of became that. It became like something that I could do to escape from pharmacy school, basically. You know, just my way of taking a break from school, because for some reason it was really hard for me to just sit down and play a game like casually for fun. And so I had to feel like I was doing something productive to have fun, which was really twisted and just not a healthy mindset at all. But that was the reason I started RidersDX, and I'm so grateful that I did that. In terms of what I want to do differently this year, I don't think there's anything I would have done differently. I think I would have just wanted to go into it with a better mindset and knowing when I needed to take a break, because I think Rehydrated like really burned me out in terms of creating content for it. And so I really do wish that I had at least adopted a mindset of being a little bit more balanced. But now that's something that I was able to learn from this year. I'm looking forward to implementing into next year. And so I don't really ever have regrets. So yeah, this comes from Monkey Jumbo 48. Were you inspired by Scott the Woz or JonTron when switching to Late Night Riders? It feels very similar to those two shows. I was extremely, in fact, I think too inspired by Scott the Woz. But Scott the Woz is a amazing YouTube channel. Like, it's my favorite channel on YouTube like now. And I was extremely heavily inspired by him. And so the problem with Late Night Riders, at least for me, was that I was trying to be all these different things when in reality I was not really being who I was. And so that's why I'm retiring Late Night Riders, because it just didn't feel like a natural progression for this channel for me. And I knew very well going into Late Night Riders that if it wasn't going to work, then I was going to retire it. And that's what's happened. So yeah, it was fun while it lasted though. I hope you all enjoyed that Barnyard video that came out earlier this week. That was sort of like a Late Night Riders last hurrah, and so I hope you all enjoyed that. This comes from Babs. What is your opinion on the Five Nights at Freddy's series? I actually don't know what that is. I've heard the name before and I think it's like starring a teddy bear, but I have no idea what that is, I'm sorry. This comes from Hidden Squid. So in your opinion, are you satisfied with BFBB Rehydrated? Like you, I wanted the game to be remade too badly and was stoked at the announcements and early gameplay. I really don't blame the developers for this, but I feel like this game was one of the biggest letdowns just because it is clearly very unfinished. I know they wanted to do so much more. So anyway, what do you really think? I think Rehydrated is still a very solid way to play the game, especially for newcomers. Like, I have this one friend who had never played BFBB before but was really interested in Rehydrated, and when he played Rehydrated he really liked it, but he could not go back to the original. Like, he tried playing the original afterwards and he just could not play it. And so to me it feels like Rehydrated is just a really good way to play the game that I loved so much as a kid. It's not perfect and it could have been so much better, but I was satisfied with it because I think it was a great way nonetheless to introduce people to this game that I just loved so much as a kid. This comes from NCam. What would you consider to be the best 3D Sonic game and the best retro Sonic game for the Genesis? So retro Sonic game is really easy. That's Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Like, come on, there's no competition with that. But in terms of 3D Sonic game, that's always been such a debate for me, and I'm probably going to change my answer, but at the moment I would say Sonic Adventure 2. That game is just so much fun and I love everything about it. At the same time, there's also some things I don't like about it, and so the best 3D Sonic game is always a debate for me. This comes from PDog64. What's your favorite game you played this year? I loved Paper Mario the Origami King. I was so surprised at how much I loved it. You know, it just felt like it wasn't a return to form for Paper Mario, but it was just something so great on its own, and I do want to make a really long video talking about it one day, so who knows? Maybe this year, maybe next year. Who knows? This comes from Adrian Johnson. Will you do a playthrough of the Nicktoons game, specifically Nicktoons Unite? So I don't really do playthroughs on this channel, however I do live stream, and so I think maybe in a live stream in the future. I mean, we'll just have to see. I don't know if you all noticed, but I started making polls of games that you all would like me to stream, and so if I put Nicktoons Unite on a poll one day and it wins, then yeah, that's probably would be the time that I would live stream it. And the final question comes from F Banda. Do you think Nickelodeon will be more involved in game development in the future? For example, easily offering licenses for character voices. I think Nickelodeon just wants to be involved to the point where they make lots of money. So probably not, but we'll see. I really do wish that Nickelodeon would just let up and let these companies use the voice actors. Like, it's such a shame that Nickelodeon Kart Racers 1 and 2 doesn't have any voice acting in it. Like, it's just inexcusable to me, but what you gonna do? But anyway, folks, that's pretty much everything. My mouth feels very dry right now, and so I'm going to definitely take a water break, but I really do appreciate all your support, and I'm so happy that you're still here watching this channel and just like hanging out with me. I think 2021 is going to be a great year. Like, I'm feeling really positive about it, and just like, yeah, I hope you enjoy all the content that's coming your way, because there's gonna be lots of it, and I just feel like I really enjoy YouTube. You know, I've enjoyed it more than I ever did before, which is like weird because I've always enjoyed YouTube, but I didn't think that you could enjoy it this much. So yeah, it's going good. I think it's going good. I'll let you know if things are going bad, but things are going good at the moment. So I really do appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. This is Riders, riding out.